one issue that a lot of couples have when they come to me, they've never been divorced. They may have heard their friends talk about it, but they don't know what to expect. They don't know what a petition is. They don't know what the document is that's going to make them divorced. They don't know that there's a 60-day waiting period in Texas. And a lot of times they come in, even though I've explained what the 60 days is, they still don't quite understand it. So what I've learned to do is walk through with the clients that come in for the consultation what divorce looks like and what the mediation process looks like. And that's what I want to tell you now. Divorce starts with the filing of a petition, and it's just what it sounds like. It's a petition for divorce. You are petitioning the court to grant you a divorce. That's the first step once you come into the actual mediation. So that petition gets filed. One of you is the petitioner, one of you is the respondent, and it doesn't matter which. You're not in an advantageous position just because you're the petitioner or the respondent. And some couples, they have strong feelings about it. Maybe somebody doesn't want the divorce, and so, by golly, if you want the divorce, then you're the petitioner. I get that all the time, and that's okay. It's okay. But once the petition is filed, you start a 60-day waiting period before you can get divorced. It used to be called a cooling off period because a lot of times people get into a fight and they just say, I'm going to get a divorce. And you call and you set up an appointment, and before the day comes around for the appointment, you've made up and you've changed your mind. That happens a lot. But most of the time, when couples actually come in to see me, they've made that decision that divorce is what they need, and they just want to do it in a way that is not too expensive and will not make them enemies with each other. Sometimes they've been the children of divorce, and they don't want their children to go through what they went through when their parents got divorced. So we have a very friendly environment. We have a round table. You will sit at that table with me or whatever mediator you're working with, both of you together. When I first started doing these mediations, people would say, I can't imagine those people being in the same room together and being able to make decisions together. They're getting divorced. Well, what I've learned is when you have two people sitting at a table together and you ask them, there's some issue you're dealing with about the children, and you ask them, what do you think would be in the best interest of your children? They get this magical look on their face, and they look at each other, and they know. They know. Mom and dad know what's best for their children. The difficulty is having somebody to help guide them through the process until they get divorced, and that's what the mediator does. So the next step after that petition gets filed, after your consultation is over, is to start the day of mediation. When you arrive, you'll be asked to sign a few preliminary documents. We always serve lunch at our mediations, so you'll be asked to order, pick out what you'd like for lunch. We order that for you. It's brought in about halfway through the day. In our mediations, the way we do it at divorce mediation centers is when lunchtime comes, the mediator goes and starts working on the actual decree. It gets your divorce decree, which is the final document that says you're divorced, is a long document, and it takes a long time to prepare it. And the mediator gets all the things that you've agreed to into a document that you two can sign as your agreement. And the title of that document is Agreed Final Decree of Divorce. It's very important that that divorce decree say Agreed Final Decree of Divorce, because when a judge looks at it and is making a decision whether to sign it and grant the divorce, the fact that you've agreed and you've both signed it makes a big difference with the judge. I've known very few judges that turn down a divorce decree when it's been agreed to by the parties. There are two primary parts of a divorce decree. One part, and typically the biggest part of it, is the parenting plan. The other part is the division of the marital estate or the community estate. And I talk about community and separate property in another video. So if you want to know a little bit about that, then you can look at that video. Right now, I just want to make sure that people understand what it's going to look like as they go through it and not be surprised by what's happening. So when you're working on the parenting plan, you're going to make decisions about who's going to make what decisions for the children, Who's going to be responsible for paying child support? Who's going to be responsible for taking them to their lessons? Who's going to pick them up at the daycare center? There are so many decisions that parents make every day that are going to be different when you're living in two separate households. When you're together, one of the other of you is responsible for something. You both know it. You don't have to ask questions. But if the wife is going to pick up the kids at the daycare center, dad knows that's what their routine is. But when you get divorced, the routine is different. Now you're living in separate households. But if you have children, you've got to each know that whatever the children need, that one or the other of you is taking care of it. And that's what the parenting plan is about. It's making sure we know who's responsible, when they're responsible, how long they're responsible for whatever there is, supporting the children, taking care of the children, buying their clothes. The list goes on and on. You know that right now, if you have children, that much of your life is consumed with doing whatever your children need you to do for them. And that's what mediation does. It helps you think those things through and make those decisions with the help of a mediator who's probably a lot more objective than either one of you are in regard to that issue. The next part of your divorce decree is the division of the marital estate. I have another video that you can listen to that will tell you all about what you have to decide when we get to that point in the mediation. So stay tuned for another video.